screen? Okay, ready? So the documents I'm going to go over are here. Um, I'm just going to show you briefly this document, which we already studied, and you have to do like you have to sit down and study this document for the exam. This one also, I'm just going to show it to you so you can remember. And then the new documents that I saw in the last class are pronouns and this link, which is about subject verb agreement. Okay, so I have this document ready. No, that's not it. Sorry, just a second. Okay, this one. This is the same document, but I added some definitions. For example, the definition of what a noun is, what common and proper nouns are. This is information that you should know. If you have any questions, we can see it next Saturday. Uh, let's say you need to read this and see if you understand all right. Concrete and abstract nouns and collective nouns, and everything is here. It's pretty simple. Then for plural nouns, I'm going to use the examples that are here, but the examples that are irregular, right? For example, babies and boxes are irregular because the spelling changes. And all of these that have changes from F to a V, and these that remain the same word, the same noun for singular and plural. That's what I mean with irregular. Then we saw this nouns as adjectives, which is a combination of two nouns. And the first one is functioning as an adjective, like in vegetable soup, office building. Then remember when we studied the possessive nouns, how we do it with apostrophe S. But when we have plural forms, and I highlighted this because this is what you need to pay attention to. See, when we have plural forms, you have to check how you make the possessive. Okay, so I highlighted what you need to read and to learn. And here are more ways of making the possession when it's not a living thing, right? It's made with of, like the cover of the book for non-living things. Today's schedule, which is related to expressions of time, right? And uh, going to the doctors, the accountants, the cousins, which means to the office or the home of the person. And also here another type that, yes, because this is possessive, the application form means that it's a form that is for an application, but it's used as, um, let's say, it's used as a noun plus noun also. Okay, so you need to review everything that I highlighted. You need to review and study for the exam. Then we have everything here, non-count nouns. You need to read this. I know that you guys know a lot about it, but you need to review like these rules, and we have a long list of non-count nouns here. And then we start with the expressions, which we already did um, work on. You had some examples, some exercises, and I will be sending you more this week so that you can be prepared for everything that is going to be in the exam. Here we have some more highlights. This one is very important. The difference between a few and a little and little, right? Where A few and a little is positive. It means that it's enough. And if I say few or little, it's negative. That means that it's not enough. So read up all this chart. This one also one each and every, um, which is singular, right? And here we start again with more expressions of quantities like many, a number of, none. You need to review that also. And then we start with the articles. However, I have, and this is fine because you can do it twice. You can read this chart about the articles, but then we have another document that is only about articles, right? In this case, what is very important is when you don't use an article, which are the cases, because no, knowing the and and an is easy, but when do you need to have no article at all? That I think is the most difficult part. And okay, descriptive and information with definite and indefinite. Okay, here we go more into um, information that is added to the main clause or to the main sentence. And yes, okay, I think that this one is not, yeah, you don't need to do this one. You do need to use this one, which is the guidelines that when you start talking about a thing, right, you are going to use the indefinite article a. But when you continue, when you mention it for the second or third time, you're going to use the. So you need to check this out and understand well. Like I said, I will be sending you or adding to the Padlet more exercises so that you can practice every part of this document. But this is something that we saw in class. Okay, so this is the other uh, document that I told you, which is only about articles. And I think it the use of the use of an, and the use of zero article. And it's like very precise, very well explained. So both of them are important to study because a lot of the things that I'm going to evaluate are precisely examples. And let's say here we have singular with singular nouns representing a whole category, and they give us the example of the whale and the computer. So when we talk about the whale and the computer, we're not talking about one whale or one computer. We're talking about the category. So all of these examples are things that you have to study because I will include, let's say, at least one of each type. The ones that are uh, different, right? For example, here, starting with three, the superlatives and ordinal numbers that are used with the, and with things that are known from context. That's what the one that I was explaining with the other document, etc., etc. Okay, so we started the class with pronouns. Let me see. Okay, with this document, which is in the Padlet. And I pasted here this chart, which has all the types of pronouns. Okay. So if we go through it one by one, and like here, right, we have the list, but we have this like summarized. And we're going to start with the personal pronouns. Now, the personal pronouns are those that we learn at the beginning, right? That are going to substitute the subject of the sentence. And they are I, you, he, she, it, we, and they. However, here in this resource, we don't have the object pronouns. And the people who were in the class were not sure which were the object pronouns. So I gave them um, two more links to be able to differentiate and learn the subject and object pronouns. So these are the subject pronouns, and these object pronouns are me, you, him, her, it, us, and them. Okay, so you probably know that. But I gave you another link to study both types. So subject and object. These are subject. The other ones that I just said are object. Then we have the possessive pronouns, which are my, you, his, her, it's, our, and their. And we place those before the noun, right, to show who is the owner, who has the possession of that now. For example, your car, our house, their books. Demonstrative are pretty simple. You studied them at the beginning, this, that, these, and those, right? That we are showing someone that um, something is near or something is far, and they are divided between uh, singular and plural. Interrogative are what we know as the WH questions. Now, there's one that is not here, which is how. It's not here. Well, actually, yeah, because these are some examples. We also have why, which is not here, and only how is not WH. The rest of it are WH. I explained in the class that whom is a pronoun that I don't need for you to know because it is not used anymore. And I explained how it was used, and um and that a lot of people, a lot of native speakers don't know how to use it because it's just been forgotten. It's not, yeah, the use of it has been lost. So it's not necessary for you to know how to use it. Um, because like I said, native speakers don't use them anymore. And it's kind of formal. And it's a subject of jokes in different programs like in the Big Bang Theory, because or in Friends, where Sheldon in the Big Bang Theory would correct people when they use what was supposed to be bad grammar. And also in Friends, Monica used to, or I don't know if it was Monica or actually um I forgot. I forgot who was always correcting the grammar of people. So those are jokes that include whom because they don't know how to use it. So we're gonna forget it about it. Relative pronouns are the ones that introduce dependent clauses. For example, the woman who I saw yesterday, um, the the book that I gave you, or the student whose car is parked in front, right? Those are relative pronouns. And we're going to study them in this course. I don't know if you know them well. I guess you do. Um, and yes, they are going to introduce another clause that has a grammatical function. I I'm not sure. We're probably going to study relative pronouns, yes, when we see dependent clauses. So don't worry about those for this exam. Indefinite pronouns, So it says these pronouns help refer to unspecified people or things. Sorry, I'm going to make this a little bit larger. So they are unspecified people or things. So what are they? For example, all, any, each, every, no one, none, some, anybody, anyone, anything. See that they're not referring um, to any specific person or thing. These reciprocal pronouns are very easy. There are just two. And it's when you say, can you please help each other? Or they studied for the exam by giving each other examples or exercises and one another, right? So they're such a great couple. They really support one another. So one person supports the other person in a couple, and the other one supports it's reciprocal. Then intensive pronouns. These are the ones that emphasize. They are not the reflexive pronouns that we have here. These are the ones that intensify. For example, if I say, I did that myself, or did you cook all this food yourself? Or you mean he built that house himself? Okay, meaning that that person alone. That is what it means, on their own. Um, so we made, um, yeah, we decorated the room ourselves. So we did the work. It's just emphasizing. And then the reflexive pronoun are going to be the ones that refer back to the subject. For example, um, let me see. Now I forgot. I forgot. We saw this in class, and now mm, okay, yes, now I remember. Okay, I gave myself a haircut. So I did something to myself, right? Or uh you in the case of yourself, you did that uh, you did that to yourself. Okay. So you made a mistake and you, let's say, hurt yourself. Um or he saw himself in the mirror. That is why it's reflexive, because he saw, okay, he, the subject, and himself are the same. They are the same person. So he saw himself in the mirror, would be that he's the one who is seeing, and what he sees is himself. Okay, so again, I'm going to give you exercises for this, for like each type. And in the exam, I will also separate it, because it would be very confusing to give you like several types of pronouns mixed up, and that you have to decide where they go. I have to give you examples where you know which one to use. Okay, so here we just have the list of all of them. So we have the personal pronouns that are singular, the ones that are plural, and then the gender neutral pronouns. I emphasize this in class because this is something new. I know from many, let's say 3 years ago, that a friend of mine is studying in the United States, and she says that when they go into virtual meetings, they have to write their pronouns, so that where you're in a virtual meeting and we can see your name. So they also need to include which pronouns you go by, which pronouns you identify yourself. So do you identify yourself as a woman? So you would say she, her, or as a man, which would be he, him, or do you have a more gender neutral pronoun and you want to be spoken to as they and them? Okay, so this is like a new category, and this is a change in grammar also. Um, okay, so here we have the explanation. And then we have because at the beginning we just saw kind of some of the examples, not all of them. So this is the like the complete list. Okay. Help you show. So we have this list again of how they are used. Um, and yeah, my, our, his, and her, our, their, and it's hers and theirs would be the neutral pronouns. And then because these are the possessive pronoun list. So it's the same thing repeated, but let's say more specific. And then we have the demonstratives, again, this and that, these and those, and the interrogative, right, that we talked about, and the relative pronouns that we already talked about and I explained. And here you have all of the pronouns. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is the indefinite pronoun list, which is kind of long. And the reciprocal pronoun list, and these have a little bit of more explanations. I mean, they have like an introduction to each list where they are explained better. Okay, but I already explained them to you, so you can just read this. And if you have questions, if there's something that you don't understand, and when you do the exercises, we can see them next week. And this is the whole list. Being, let's say, familiar with this list can help because there's going to be a point in the course where I'm going to ask you to identify parts of a sentence. So you need to know that not only are I, you, he, she, and it pronouns, but also, for example, each, every, no, one, none. All of those are also pronouns. And remember that pronouns are going to substitute a noun. So in the case of anyone, does anyone want something to drink? Or does someone want, we don't have, no, not someone. Do you want anything? So this anything and this anyone is going to substitute something. So do you want anything? And I want, yes, I'd like a glass of water. That's what it's substituting in the question. Something that someone wants in that case. Um, okay, so here we have some of this is missing. Samples of pronouns in sentences. Let me complete this because I have to change it anyways. Samples of pronouns in sentences. Okay, so you can go over this also. And this comes from, this is the source. This is where I copied it from. So you can go back if you want to do anything there. Okay. So this is something that we need to learn more by practicing it. Therefore, when I send you exercises, you can look at this list and check what you have to do. And with the practice that you do, you'll be ready for the exam. All right, so let's go to the new topic, um, which is Okay, here we have the indefinite pronouns. I'm going to show you. These are some exercises of the indefinite pronouns, right? So it tells you which are the ones that you have the option to use, and you can check them. These exercises are great because you can do them on your own. She wants to live by the sea. Okay, so it says in a certain place. So it would be somewhere because it says in a certain place, right? It's not any place. We have anywhere, but it is a certain place. So we are going to write somewhere by the sea and we can check if that is correct. So I'm going to try to send you exercises like this where you can check yourself. Okay, let's go back to the Padlet. This was indefinite pronouns. This one is subject object. Hmm. No, it's the same one. Okay. Subject object pronouns. It should be. Okay. Yeah, good. I realize that this is wrong. I'm going to copy it again here. So these are going to be exercises where you have to choose between I or me, he or him, she or her. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to correct that. And the final topic, which is not at all simple, I have to say, is about making subjects and verbs agree. It's about agreement. Now, you guys know that with the verb to be, we are going to have three forms, which are going to be am, is, and are. And in the past tense, we have was and were. So when do we use each one? It has to agree with the subject. You already know how to make it agree. So that is one case of agreement, right? The verb to be. However, these are the important aspects. Okay. For example, when you have um, or, you have two singular nouns and the conjunction or, then the verb is going to be singular. All right. Um, for example, here, of course, she and her friends are, yes, because they're more than one person. But here, when you use or, then it's going to be singular. Then we have the agreement of the verb in the uh, in the third person, where we're going to have an S. So the boy runs every day. But what happens if I have the boy, which is singular, and his friends, which is plural? It's going to agree with the second one. See that here we also have or. It's not like in this case where it's and. So this would make it logically plural. But this one, it's going to be singular because it's one or the other. And here also, it's going to be one or the other. So, or not the verb. Okay, in these cases where we have the boy or his friends, which is one singular and one plural, the verb is going to agree with the nearest one. So let's say in this case with the second one, the one that is next to the verb. So since his friends is plural, they run every day. His friends, the boy and his friends run every day. Now, if we change it around, his friends or the boy, then the verb is going to agree with the one that is nearest to it or next to it, in, like in this case, which is the boy. So it's going to be the boy runs. Um, Okay, doesn't is a contraction of does not and should be used only with singular subject, with a singular subject. Don't is a contraction of do not and should be used only with a plural subject. The exception to this rule, see, and this is what we have to see, the things that you don't know about it, are in the case of the first or second person pronouns I and you. With these pronouns, the contraction don't should be used. So, um, he doesn't like it, they don't like it, right? But I don't like it and you don't like it. The thing here is that we are used to having plural and singular. But in this case, only this only doesn't only agrees with the third person. And the singular, no, I'm sorry, the plural subject is going to be don't. Okay, I don't think that you need, this is just something that they need to include in the rules, but I think you know already that. Number five, it says, don't be misled by a phrase that comes between the subject and the verb. The verb agrees with the subject, not with a noun or pronoun in the phrase. So here, one of the boxes is open because the subject is one, not the boxes. Okay, so it is going to be is. The people, okay, this one's very important because from first year to fourth year, a lot of people say the people are. I'm sorry, people is. Um, because in Spanish, la gente es, right? We have that influence, but in English, people is plural. So people are, never people is. The team captain, as well as his players, is anxious. Who is the subject? The subject is the team captain. If I eliminate this, which is extra information, we have the team captain is anxious. This is between commas because it's extra information, and therefore it's not part of the subject, and the verb is going to agree with the subject. The book, including all the chapters in this first section, is boring. So what is the main clause or the main idea? The book is boring. We don't take into account this, including all the chapters, which is a plural. We don't take that into account when we make the agreement because it's not the subject. The woman with all the dogs walks down the street. Okay, who is walking down the street? The woman. Okay, she has dogs and they're walking too. But the woman is the subject of the sentence. Um, if we could also say the woman walks down the street, right? Even though I cannot eliminate this information in this sentence because I am identifying which woman. So I need it there to know which woman. But still, the woman is going to be the subject and it's going to agree with walks. The words each other, either, neither, everyone, everybody, and okay, etc., are going to be singular. Okay, so here we can see that either is going to be one, neither is going to be the contrary, is going to be no one or none. Let's say everyone, everybody. All of those express one person. Somebody is indeterminate, but still it's one person. and no one are singular and require a singular verb. So each of these hot dogs is juicy. Everybody knows Mr. Jones, right? Um, yes, and either is correct. Either means I have two answers, and you ask me which is the correct way of saying this, and I say either is correct. So one or the other is correct, not the plural, right? It's one or the other, whichever one. There are some nouns that are singular, even though they have an S. For example, civics, which is the name of a subject, mathematics, which is also the name of the subject, dollars, which is let's say the coin, la moneda que se usa, right? So that is going to be singular. Measles is sarampión, and news. We never say new because that would be the adjective, right? But news, las noticias, is going to be singular. So it says the word dollars is a special case when talking about an amount of money. It requires a singular verb, but when referring to the dollars themselves, it's a plural verb. So look at the difference. So $5 is a lot of money, right? So this is a quantity of dollars, and it's singular. But if I say dollars are often used instead of rubles in Russia, that would be um, let's say like the general term for them, not thinking about an a quantity, but the general idea of this kind of coin, right, would be when it's used as plural. There are words that are always plural, and these are similar in Spanish because we have tijeras, right? And when we talk about tijeras, they are plural. ¿Dónde están las tijeras? ¿O ha visto? Bueno, no hay, no. Eh, sí, ha visto mis tijeras en plural. So in this case, scissors are also plural. And trousers, it's the same, pantalones. Eh, and we say, los pantalones están secos. Si sus pantalones ya están aplanchados. It's a plural uh, noun, and always, even if it's one. So here we're talking about one pair of scissors and one pair of trousers. So those are plural. Those agree with the plural verb. And in sentences beginning with there is and there are. Okay, I explained this in class. This is what the grammar says, that I use there are with us, us. And I don't remember what this part is. It's not the subject. Okay. There are when we have a plural noun, let's say, and there is when it's a singular noun. However, right now in the United States, there are is not used very often. Whether it's in formal or informal forms, people use theirs. So they kind of took the concept and merged it into one. So they will say, there's many questions about this project. There's um, there's a lot of problems going on. There's an order of hamburgers. No, because that's an order. There's hamburgers on the table for you to take. If that is a change in the language, and many grammar books have this like note that expresses this, that theirs is more commonly used more right now than there is and there are. Um, okay, collective nouns. Remember we talked about collective nouns, and uh, they are going to be singular even though they imply many people. So the team is many people, but you are going to make it agree with as a singular subject. Well, as a third person in this case, right? Singular subject. So the team runs during practice. The committee, which is several people, decides how to proceed. The family has a long history. My family has never been able to agree. The crew is preparing the to dock the ship. So it's agrees with the singular form of the verb. But um, there are cases, and mainly in British English, where this is different. Now, it says here this sentence is referring to the individual effort of each crew member. The crew is preparing, right? So each crew member is working there. But um, I added this book, the Greg Reference Manual. It's next in the Padlet. I'm going to show you. Here it is. Oh no, I'm not going to remember where I was. So here is the reference manual, so you can check. Where was I? No, it wasn't here. Sorry. So you can check. Oh, here. Good. You can check for more examples. It says in section 10. Okay. For this type of, let's say, special cases for collective nouns. And finally, this is the end. Expressions such as with, together with, including, accompanied by, in addition to, are also going to be singular. So the president, accompanied by his wife, is traveling to India. I would say the president and his wife are traveling to India. But here, the structure of the sentence tells us that the president is the subject of this sentence. And as extra information, we have that he is accompanied by his wife. So it agrees with the president singular. All of the books, including yours, okay? So your book is singular, but the subject is all of the book, and including yours is extra information also, are in that box. So all of the books are in that box. The president is traveling to India in these cases. All right, so I'll be checking in through WhatsApp during this week, and I'll see you on Saturday. Bye bye. Let me see how to finish this. Now I can't. So bye bye.